As a consultant or a leader, how can you use this book in your daily practice?
The book provides you with a framework of understanding reality. Let me give you an example from an organization that I'm working with currently. The executive management team has an aspiration of significantly changing the way they deliver value. They are going to automate a lot. They're going to change the way they operate. And that requires a lot of culture change. So they needed to pinpoint the cultural elements that are necessary to shape and move to another place. More empowered action, so that means that frontline operators have to make a lot more decisions, and they need to assume responsibility, which they've normally just relegated upwards. We needed to find out, how do we change that culture? So what we did was that we took a range of the people in the front line, interviewed those based on the framework, found out that there are 3 main drivers in regards to what is the more behavior, the cultural assumptions that we need to change. We aligned that with the top 75 leaders, had them go through the interpretation process of say, how does that look like? What are we going to stop doing? What are we going to start doing? How are we going to do more of this and less of that? They went through that interpretation process. Then they took that priority of desired behavior necessary for future success into their organization. They did the same process with their leaders. Those leaders, based on that work, replicated that process with their direct reports, their direct people. They ended up with simple posters, say do more and do less, and they are now working on how are we actually gonna make that happen in our organization. Then we started working with the evidence that flows back up the chain. How do we see that needle moving? While we did that with one hand, we started developing leadership interventions. So the leaders need to be more assertive in their frame setting. They need to be more towards focused in their feedback in order to drive this change. So the leaders are trained. That taps directly into that organizational mobilization process. So what we use the book for is exactly to navigate that landscape and then pinpoint, based on those changes in the intentions, strategy, ways of operating, what kind of performance behavior do we need? We need more team citizenship. We need more empowered action. How do we convert that into something that we can put in the hands of the employees, we can commit them to, and then we can start working on the leadership interventions and drive that. Are we going to see changes in the people composition? Yes. We will see some people that can't really change their behavior. But if we are not explicit, and if we are not involving, and if we are not requiring people to be part of the interpretation process, we are never going to arrive at commitments that's going to move the culture. So that's an example of what is it that I can do with the book.